Honesty, passion, experience. It's Timberwolves Explosion, hosted on the sportstuff.com. And now, your host, Paladino Joey. Hello again, Timberwolves fans. Are you ready for the explosion of Timberwolves basketball? I am your host, Paladino Joey, or Joey Awajan. Timberwolves Explosion is available on the sportstuff.com, iTunes, Stitcher, and Double Twist. Nice to be back on board once again. Another Friday morning talking Timberwolves basketball. This last week there were 4 games and, well, it's 2 wins and 2 losses, adding up to a split. Ooh, right? Not the worst week ever, certainly not the best, though. Slackadaisical. That could have been an interesting possible title for this episode. But I went with Wayward Wiggins because what the hell's up with Andrew Wiggins, at least the last couple of games here. But, what the hell is up with Andrew Wiggins? And, God bless him. God bless Andrew Wiggins. I'm a big fan. I wish him the best. And when Andrew Wiggins is playing well, he is one hell of a joy to watch. When he's not playing well, it sucks. It hurts. It's sad. I'm sad. I'm not going to hate on him and bash him, but I'm not liking what I'm seeing lately, let's be honest. And a guy that's going to probably constantly be compared with him time and time again is the guy that, it was kind of between him and Zach LaVine. Yep, Andrew Wiggins and Zach LaVine. That's the other one. Zach LaVine and Jimmy Butler played a little mano-a-mano game, and the Bulls ended up winning the bleeping game, which, Well, all right. What else is new? I mean, every time somebody leaves Minnesota, they end up playing better, and then they stick it to us because we're just so awful. We're just the worst people in the world. I just hate you guys. You're just bleep you, bleep this, bleep your owner. Yeah, okay. Well, the Bulls won 114-113. Little ticky-tack call near the end there, in my humble opinion, but, welcome to the NBA, I suppose. Bull crap. 114-113, February the 9th. Let's go. No games to preview today. I'm going to keep this a 2-segment show. So, nope, this is not the off-season, but it's a very unique situation. Going into the All-Star break, usually there's a game or two if it's a light week, but no games to preview this week. There'll be no games to review next week. It'll be like previewing. It'll be kind of interesting, but we'll get it together, and I will not talk about the All-Star game. And who knows what's going to happen between now and then, and the trade deadline is just kind of looking us right in the eye here. So, will the Wolves do anything? I doubt it. I think the Minnesota Wild are the team more likely to make a trade of some sorts. Hopefully, they stop trading away draft picks and maybe go the opposite direction, like get a draft pick or something. But, Brave the Wild hockey fans. That one's coming out tomorrow morning, like it does every Saturday. At least I try to keep it that way. So, yes, Neil Nate Dogg Thiesing was laid to rest. That's my close friend, who, of course, was a co-host on the last... He was my co-host on the Brave the Wild podcast, off and on. Not as much lately, this and that, scheduling, this and that. Sometimes he'd run into little health things, but yeah, he was laid to rest Saturday morning. And I did talk about that a bit on the last show, but again, just giving another shout-out to Neil Nate Dogg Thiesing. If anybody's related to him, is listening, related, friends, this and that. So, he'll be talked about very often on Brave the Wild, very often. So a kind of a quiet game from everybody. Jimmy Butler playing a little hero ball in this game. Andrew Wiggins played very well in the game. Only 4 field goal attempts, 18 points. Okay, that's not too bad. Didn't attempt any free throws, so that's kind of a bummer. Didn't get to the line at all, of course. Turned the ball over 5 times. The Timberwolves were playing well in this game. They led by 17 at one point. That's right, 17 at one point. They were dominating, and then bleep the third quarter happened again. Like Timberwolves fans were saying last year and the year before, bleep the third quarter. And that's when things changed, and it was a back-and-forth, mano-a-mano type of nonsense, kind of like the Laker game turned out to be. What the hell? And even the Lakers took a big lead in that game. What's up with that? That's the 4th game to review. This one, it's just, I don't know, I'm sensing a little drop-off on the team of late. And luckily the Wolves are continuing their home winning streak, and they honored and represented Flip Saunders well. The pregame festivities, we'll talk about that around the Laker game. We'll probably wrap up this segment with that. But Jimmy Butler, big game, big mano-a-mano, 38-point effort, which I expected. I expected Mr. Zach LaVine to have an upper 20s game. He ended up having 35 points. Huge in the fourth quarter. Huge. And again, that's going to get the LaVine lovers and Wiggins dislikers. Okay, maybe they're haters. I don't know. I don't know if they hate Wiggins or they probably dislike him of late. I'm not one of those oversensitive types that can't say the word hate. You can say it once in a while. You can hate a player because maybe you're just not a fan. But just saying, Zach LaVine getting to the free throw line, 10 of 11. He makes his free throws. He always has. The catch and shoot, it wasn't working yesterday until it mattered. Last Friday until it mattered. The only three-pointer Zach LaVine made out of the 6 attempts was the one that tied the game up after Butler was being solid down the stretch. Butler with a really nice up and under, kind of a fake, putting the Wolves ahead by 2. And then down the stretch, Zach LaVine launching a 3. Butler, maybe his ring finger, maybe Butler's ring finger tipped LaVine's elbow. I don't know. Just sometimes these calls aren't made, sometimes they are. I'm sure there would have been a huge argument along the way if there wasn't a foul called. But it was called, and Zach made them all, and the Bulls went up by 1, and we had Towns with the catch-and-shoot 3, which I'm not mad at, but you're only down by 1. Why aren't you having Carl down by the basket? And only 3 attempts in the game and had 14 points. 8 of 9 from the line was Carl. Double-double game. Just, I'm not mad at Carl for this game. It was hero ball. It was a hero ball effect that was going on. And you know what? That's to be expected. He's going into Chicago, kind of like Marbury and Garnett when Marbury first came back with the New Jersey Nets, as they were called at the time, of course, when both players attempted like upper 20 field goals in that game. Butler, 26 in this one. He did get his 38 points, a solid overall game, but that foul did not help his cause at all. And then again, Towns clanging the 3, which was his only 3-point attempt in the game, and again, only 8 attempts overall through the entire game. Carl, they're not getting the ball at all down low. Good defense inside by Portis and others, so credit given there, so to speak. But an overall frustrating finish too. Well, it was a good game, fun game to watch. Nice to see Zach LaVine's athleticism, the smoothness on his shot. It's interesting, though, too. He only made 1 3 in the game, but again, he was all over the place. His athleticism was back on display, and God bless Zach LaVine for being able to do that. Why the Bulls were having Zach even take that shot in the first place when he was off most of the night, I don't know, but I suppose he hit it when it mattered, tying the game up. So respect given to Zach LaVine. Talent for talent, this and that. It's like talent versus talent. I think I'd still rather have Wiggins in terms of talent versus talent. But effort, energy, blah, 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 I guess you're leaning Zach on this one. I mean, I don't blame anybody for leaning with Zach LaVine on that one. At the end of the day, though, it is what it is. You can't fix it at this point. Obviously, the money wouldn't even match now, Zach LaVine and Andrew Wiggins. Though, of course, the contract starts next year for Andrew Wiggins. Fun stuff. There's always what ifs. There's always hindsight 2020, this and that. And I know a lot of you like Zach LaVine so much more because of his swag and his confidence and this and that. I don't care about swag and confidence as long as you're like in the game, you're focused in the game, and you're getting the job done. That's what I care about. I don't care about cute little celebrations or this or that. That's overrated. Or this cocky look on your face as you're making your shots or shooting the ball. We're happy for you. But no, Zach LaVine, I like the confidence. I like what he brings to the floor. I like his ability. So respect is given where respect is due. 35 points, beating his former club at home. Good job. God bless, and we'll move on. I'm dragging this one probably longer than I need to, for crying out loud. But again, it is a player that we did not end up keeping because of Thibs wanted Butler, and he has every right to want Butler. Fantastic player, and he had a great game. Lauri Markkanen looks like he has a wonderful future as well. We will be hosting the Chicago Bulls on the 24th of February coming up, so that's interesting. That will be discussed on the next show, to be quite honest. So that'll be in the preview segment, of course. And, of course, the frickin' Rockets again, too, and Sacramento. So it's a lot of the same teams. Again, the only one missing is the Lakers. That's kind of funny. Sacramento game, Sunday the 11th of February. What the hell is this crap? Like, what? The Kings off and on were taking the lead. The final result is what matters, 111-106, but yuck city. And that includes the Laker game. I think the Laker game was a little bit better product. Carl, 29 points in the game. Nice dominant performance. He was outstanding. Andrew Wiggins was okay. But again, not real aggressive. I like the 8 rebounds. I appreciate that. But again, turning the ball over. 4 turnovers in the game. Very careless. Carl did not get the double-double in this one, but he was setting other players up. Butler only 9 attempts. That's kind of funny. So definitely a little opposite effect going on there compared to the last game. I don't know if Thibodeau said slow down a little bit or if Butler himself kind of just wanted to slow down. And Karl Anthony Towns led the team in field goal attempts, 17. But always that statistic I always talk about, field goals to points ratio. Carl's points ratio, he's always on the plus side of those. He's a plus 12 in the field goals to points ratio. Andrew Wiggins only a plus 3. But, not a bad game from Andrew Wiggins. But, again, you're just not seeing the aggressiveness. And I know part of it is there's too many quote-unquote stars on the roster right now. Jeff Teague was solid in the game. You could always say he could play better defense, but he was okay. He only attempted 5 shots, and he had double-digit assists. Managed to get to a double-double in the game with the 12 points. Jeff Teague just solid. He was okay. Again, the defense could always be better. Butler made the shots he needed to, and all that. He was a plus 9 in the field goal to points ratio. That's invented by Joey Owajan. I think some people talk about it sometimes too elsewhere, but probably not as much. You're not seeing Shabazz Muhammad. I don't think he's going to play another game for the Timberwolves. The trade deadline, obviously, gone and all that. Obviously, long gone. The Timberwolves did not make a move. I don't know why I just said the trade deadline is still looming. That's hockey, so I'm going crazy. The trade deadline is over, of course. We talked about that on the last bleeping show, but Shabazz will probably be bought out at some point, or he'll just sit there. Just sit there pretty much. I don't think he's going to play another game for this team, to be quite honest. The organization is looking, back channels, whatever, for teams that are interested, and then they would quickly release Shabazz, and he would be picked up by the Lakers, the Clippers, the who knows, Memphis Grizzlies, who knows, Mr. Wayne Hunt's club. Again, I appreciate Wayne Hunt having me on the Courtside podcast during his all-nighter. What a fun show. That was a fun one. I loved that. When I listened back to it, of course, I was on for like a little piece of it. He had Vince Germano on later. Vince is just getting up. What a great show, Hank. That was good. I'm not kidding, man. And you know what? The Courtside is my favorite podcast out there. It is. And I'm not just saying that just because they're my friends and all that. Before I even knew them, the first couple shows, I was like, this is great. Because I was trying to contact them and then, made a little contact. And then all of a sudden, Vince Germano was tweeting back a lot of my tweets about the Wolves, and it's like, ooh, this guy's pretty cool. I like this guy. And you can tell he just had this great love for the Wolves, even though he's a Laker fan. The Wolves are his second favorite team, just like in hockey, the Calgary Flames are my second favorite team. It's something like that, and there's nothing wrong with having a second favorite team. There's nothing wrong with that. It's not like you would ever root for that team over your team. That's what matters most. Stay with your team at the end of the day when it comes to playing against each other. But it's okay to like other teams. Come on. Don't be a rube. Don't be nuts. But again, this is a Rube-like performance. This was not a fun game to watch. Forever, the Sacramento Kings were ahead well into the third quarter. Wolves finally pull away in the fourth, and thank God for that. But what a yucky product. I've not been happy with this team the last week or so. It's lame sauce. There were even rumors about the Wolves going after Vince Carter, this and that, if Vince Carter gets bought out, or even during the trade deadline, this and that. Yeah, okay, he's 40, and he's, way at the end of the bench now, and it kind of is what it is. I don't know what Sacramento's doing at the end of the day. They're just like Phoenix a couple of years ago with Goran Dragic and all that. I don't know what the Sacramento Kings are doing. I don't see a whole lot of direction. De'Aaron Fox looks like a really nice player. Long term, 23 points in the game, was very solid, but more of a scoring point guard than anything else. Bogdanovich was really the guy leading the show and all that, but still, De'Aaron Fox has a little point guard in him as well. So I don't know. There's some hope there, this and that, but generally speaking, Willie Cauley-Stein, he's just a role player. That's all he is. Zach Randolph is ancient. Costa Krivos, very good role player, but a role player, but healed, whatever. He's healed and whole, but he's just not that great. I don't know, but I'm glad the Wolves won the game against a team that's kind of not that great. And then we go into the Houston game, which, this is where Andrew Wiggins is struggling, really hits the fan. Yeah, his struggling hits the fan. That's kind of a weird way of putting it. The Wolves played very well in this game for 3 quarters, for the most part. In the second quarter, there was a bit of a gaffe there, a 20-3 run by the Houston Rockets. That was great. But the Wolves kind of sort of hung in there. They even got within 5 points with like midway through the fourth quarter. And then the cannons started blasting, kind of like in the movie Glory. Have you ever seen Glory, that Civil War movie with Matthew Broderick and such? Things were going all right. You know, that final battle. It wasn't really the final battle of the Civil War, but the final battle of the movie when they went into that fort that never was ever taken. Was it Fort Sumter? Oh, damn it, I can't remember. Oh, it was a fort. It can't be Sumter. But it was a fort in the Carolinas. Was never taken, ever. And it never ended up getting taken, which tells you what happened at the end of the movie to the poor group of guys there in the movie Glory. But things were looking okay. Things were looking positive, and then, and all the cannons were pointed at them. They were trapped, and boom. And that's kind of what happened to the Wolves in this game. Sheesh. The cannon himself, you could say, Ryan Anderson, 6 of 10 from downtown. He just went 8 bleep in that fourth quarter, 21 points. One of the best three-point shooters ever, I think. Ryan Anderson, he's one of the best three-point shooters I've ever seen. Nene still playing, and they still call him Hilario. I'm glad. It's nice to see Hilario instead of just Nene in his name. Clint Capella. That's a name that, man, I wish. That's a name I just wish so much was on the Timberwolves. Wouldn't that be great if Clint Capella was pairing with Karl Anthony Towns down low? I love Clint Capella. Some people might think he's overrated, this and that. No, I think he's one of those guys who's an unsung, like, he's really valuable, and he's got to be one of the reasons Houston could maybe beat the Warriors. Maybe. Chris Paul, obviously, he's got the firepower. James Harden's about as much firepower as there is. 6 of 10 from downtown, just like Ryan Anderson, particularly late in that game. Even had 13 assists. Obviously, he's kind of like, he's like Westbrook, where he can pick up a bajillion assists. It's a fascinating backcourt. Chris Paul, I think the more you watch him, you can just feel the guy's breaking down. He's a Ferrari, but he's breaking down. He's had so many injuries in his career. He's missed so much time from this and that and this and that. And then next thing you know, eventually he's just not that good anymore. That type of thing. And that happens all the time in the NBA. I thought that was going to happen with Eric Gordon, and then he's just had this resurgence the last 2 years. Talk about a guy who missed time. Jiminy. I mean, there were some years he played like 5 games, it seemed like. And then he just hung in there, and he's been very valuable for the Rockets for a while now. But this team, obviously, is easily the most dangerous opponent, dangerous roadblock or hurdle or whatever you want to call it for the Golden State Warriors. And I wouldn't mind them beating the Warriors, to be honest. I don't like them that much more than the Warriors. Chris Paul's a D-bag, and pardon my French. It might be a little childish me saying that on the show. He's got an attitude, and he kind of always has. I liked him in his early days with the New Orleans Hornets, even Charlotte. I think there was nope. That was Baron Davis. Even he had an attitude too. Later on, I love Baron Davis though, boy. In his early days when they were still in Charlotte. Once they went to New Orleans, it's like the attitude took over and the laziness too. Chris Paul, obviously, attitude, complain, tornado flop, as the forecaster would say. This and that. It's hard to like him. James Harden, he's I don't mind the cook something up celebration. That one doesn't bug me that much. That's actually one of my favorite ones. I'm not a big celebration guy, but that one's okay. That one gets a pass. It gets the little green stamp or whatever for pass. So, yes, I would cheer for the Rockets over the Golden State Warriors. Long story longer, or whatever you want to call it. Karl Anthony Towns, as I did predict accurately, was phenomenal against the Rockets. 35-12. He's always been good against them. Clint Capella got that little block mixed in. Andrew Wiggins was 0 for 11 at one point, ended up finishing 2 for 14. He missed a layup early in the game, but Karl put it in. It's just kind of symbolic of how things have been going with Karl and Andrew lately. Andrew misses, Karl gets the rebound and puts it in. That kind of pretty much sums things up. Jimmy Butler did not have a particularly good game, but he was kind of deferring in this one. Jeff Teague was wonderful in the game, offensively. Defensively, it is what it is. I mean, he outplayed Chris Paul in the game, which, that's nice. He made 2/3 of his shots, 10 of 15. He's a plus 10 in the Joey ratio. The Joey field goal attempts versus points ratio, points to attempts ratio. Karl, though, unbelievable in that number. Just great, 35-16. Are you kidding me? 35-16? Yeah, that's pretty damn good. That's a plus 19, eh? No, that's not. I'm losing my freaking mind. It is a plus 19. That's unbelievable. Great overall game by Karl Anthony Towns. Plus 19 in the attempts to points ratio. But again, the fourth quarter happened. The cannons went off. It was a blaze of glory for the Wolves and Rockets in that fourth quarter. The Rockets got 42 points in that one. Lakers versus Timberwolves, 119-111. Again, this segment will be slightly longer because it can be. It can kind of bleed a little longer to where the second segment would be. And then, of course, fan interaction. And I'm not sure what I'm looking at here. A little stunned. You want to pull up the game. And, yeah. 119-111 game. The Lakers were off and on leading in this game. And it was really annoying. Like, why? Why are the Wolves screwing around so much? I know you're so great, and I'm sure your confidence is incredible at home, but don't slack off, please. Stop slacking off on your job, guys. Look at you. Stop being like certain coworkers out there to all of us. We all know what kind of coworkers they are. Isaiah Thomas ejected in the previous game. He played in this one off the bench and was 3 of 15, and that's about all she wrote. He stunk in the game, and that's fine. That's fine. Yet the Lakers led like half the frickin' night. Who the heck Zubac is? Okay, Vince, you can help me with that one a little bit. No, he had a nice game off the bench. Tyler Ennis, Minnesota Wild winger, left winger for the Wild. He did not play. He was busy playing for the Wild, so that's why he was inactive with the Lakers. Tyler Ennis, yeah, he was busy with the Wild, and he got in a little scuffle with one of the Washington Capitals last night. So in St. Paul, that was not a good game. It was kind of like Rockets versus Timberwolves for the Wild. That did not turn out well, and it never does with the Wolves and the Washington Capitals, just like Wolves into frickin' Rockets. Wolves and Lakers, well, it's become more sided towards the Wolves, but there was always Mr. Jordan Clarkson going off against the Wolves. There was always that possibility. Karl just about lost the Alpha Wolf Award in this one. I don't know. Just about possibly. He had an icky game, yet he still was a +1 in the points to attempts ratio, and he had 19 rebounds. So, I mean, stuff like that could keep him where he wants to be for the Alpha Wolf Award. Jeff Teague got a nice week, though, too, I'd have to say. Jeff Teague, nice resurgence after a couple of awful weeks. Andrew Wiggins he has kind of taken the Jeff Teague role of late. And, I love Andrew Wiggins. I don't want this to happen to him, but he did not have a good game. Taj Gibson, another great game against the Lakers. Taj has been a Laker killer this year. 28 points, and again, showing that aggressiveness. And, just getting those put-ins near the basket. Not put-backs, but a couple of were, at least one or two put-backs in the game. But Karl, again, 16 defensive rebounds, 19 total for the game. Not his best game offensively, but he was deferring to Taj Gibson at times and attempting to help other players as well. Butler didn't have the particularly great shooting night, but he still got to the free throw line and still helped be at least second in the team in scoring as Taj, again, the leader. Jeff Teague got a 20-point night and was solid off and on throughout the game. So Jeff Teague, better. Hearing the criticism in town, I'd rather have Rubio, or Jeff Teague is a good player, but he doesn't fit with this team, this and that. I don't completely disagree with that, but I don't know. I'd like to know what type of point guard people want. Is it really Rubio? Is it, though? I mean, I don't know. I like Jeff Teague's ability to just kind of release, and it's not like it's not an erratic shot. It's a nice looking shot. It's got a little Chauncey Billups feel to it at times when he just kind of puts up his threes. So I appreciate that side of Jeff Teague's game, and again, the quick step, again, that keeps the defense honest, which Rubio was not something. It wasn't really something that was his specialty. He had the ability to dribble around people and make a quick move, but he didn't do it very much. So obviously the predictability with Ricky Rubio was very much in play. He's having a very nice year for the Jazz, and the Utah Jazz are playing extremely well recently. So that's the topic as well. Wolves versus Jazz in the playoffs. That'd be interesting. I mean, you better frickin' win that series. You do not want to wind up like the Wild with Mike Yeo last year. Oh, that was some straight up BS right there. But no, nice little finish for the Wolves. At least they're able to kind of pull away, and Taj Gibson a big part of it. Wonderful night. Again, 28, 7, and 2 in the game. 2 blocks was the big part there down the stretch. Loved what he brought. Jimmy Butler had 3 blocks, some really nice ones down the stretch. One from behind, LeBron James style, and then, again, facing the man up along the way. Nice overall game. Oh, look at that nice video. Flip Saunders working with Carl in the early days of Carl's career and final months of Flip's life. Man, I still can't believe he's gone. You see people go too quick. Obviously my friend Neil, just dear friend, 33 years of age, and Flip Saunders only 60. It's like, see, Neil was barely half Flip's age in that sense, the 60 to 30 thing, all that. But even 60, that's way too young, and it sucks, man. And man, I love what Flip brought to this organization. I loved the tribute. It was very well done. Nice to see Sam Cassell there. Even Latrell's pretty well. A certain guy that wears number 21 for the Timberwolves, at least he used to, was not there. And come on, man. And I'm just gonna leave it at that. I don't like that people are making it about that guy, making it about Garnett. Why do that? Don't make it about Garnett. It's Flip's night. So when Garnett's retiring, it's 100% about Kevin Garnett, KG, whatever you want to call him. I usually don't like abbreviations very much. That's why you don't hear me say it. I say Garnett or Kevin Garnett. It just sounds better for me. Or even just Kevin. Just like I call Karl Anthony Towns. I call him Carl. When you're a franchise player, you're usually called by your first name. Carl. Carl did this. Carl did that. Kevin did this. Kevin did that. LaDainian instead of LaDainian Tomlinson. Stuff like that. But a wonderful tribute. It brings back all the memories. I mean, I've been a Wolves fan since the early 90s, the very beginning pretty much. I think I missed the first year with the Metrodome off. I mean, I saw bits and pieces of it, but I wasn't as big of a fan until like the next year or so. Really appreciated what Flip Saunders brought to this organization. What a mess it was when he came in the first time, and what a mess it was when he came in the second time, and how things changed dramatically. Kevin McHale, Flip Saunders, so close. It was cool, their friendship and how they sat there, watched Mr. Garnett. And people say out of Chicago, but obviously he's from South Carolina, Malden, South Carolina. But he played 1 year for Farragut Academy, which obviously brought him more attention because so he could get recruited or drafted, one of the two. Kevin Garnett would have played for the Michigan Wolverines if he did go to college. That's a very interesting thought there. Right after Chris Webber would have been a nice upgrade from Chris Webber. As good as Webber was, Garnett was better. Yep. So those of you that think I hate Garnett, you're crazy. Of course I don't hate him. Of course I don't hate Garnett. I'm just saying he wasn't the go-to guy. But there I go, making it about him now. But wonderful move by Flip and Kevin McHale. Of course, when Flip came in, he was very well thought of, coming out of the Continental Basketball Association. Wore some really wacky outfits for the team in the Dakotas there. What a some sweet outfits in the late 80s, early 90s. That's my favorite time in my life. Late 80s especially. Just the whole damn 80s as far as I'm concerned. But I was getting a little bit, more, I was getting closer to my teens in the late 80s, we'll say. So yeah, I appreciate it more than when you're very young in the early 80s. But Flip, obviously, very intuitive, ahead of his time in the CBA. People thought of him very well. Wanted to, of course, Glenn Taylor talked about in the video, which I posted on the Facebook page. Very interesting stuff. How sent this big letter. I'm interested in coming to the Wolves somehow, some way, working with you and all that. Bill Blair was still the coach at the time, so Flip was brought in as a general manager, like assistant general manager. Kevin McHale actually came in as kind of an assistant, ended up becoming vice president of basketball not long after that. Flip was the general manager. Bill Blair was still the coach, the Salty Sea captain. Of course, him and Isaiah, not the closest relationship, Isaiah J.R. Ryder, that of course. Bill Blair was the very first coach that Kevin Garnett played for as a Timberwolf, and then of course Flip took over during the season, and the rest was history. Things got better, this and that. Just felt like a more positive vibe. Bill Blair wasn't a bad coach, but he was more of an assistant. He wasn't the head coach. It's just, sometimes that's how it is. Like Randy Whitman to me. He's an assistant, not a head coach. Kurt Rambis, he's an assistant, not a head coach. You could go on forever with that conversation. Tom Thibodeau is a head coach. He was a great assistant and a head coach. Frank was an assistant, not a head coach. You could go on for hours with that, and I better stop because it's getting boring. Flip Saunders was a head coach, 100% a head coach. His coaching style was entertaining. I think other coaches, at the end of the day, might have had. I don't know. I mean, they're just different. We'll just say some of them had more success. Some of them had better players to work with. Sometimes the jump shooting style, just jump shooting, isn't always the best. In some ways, it could also be great, of course. Obviously, set things up. Maybe he would have been really good at the Warriors with how things turned out. When you have guys that can make shots like crazy, Flip's success rate would have probably been insanely high. But of course, when you have a team that's that good, this and that, the success rate's going to be high. It kind of depends on what type of coach you have. Obviously, Steve Kerr is a shooting coach. He was a shooting player. Flip Saunders, same thing, this and that. Great career with the Gophers. One time I happened upon a video on YouTube, I'm sure it's still there, where it was just, it was a Gopher game, right? Gopher basketball game in 1975. How cool is that? 1975, where it's a broadcast, right? Like a broadcast tape, where, how it's literally the tape from the broadcast, where okay, here we are, this is happening, pregame, we're talking, and then it's time for a commercial break, but the tape keeps playing. You understand? There was no commercials. It was the actual tape, the real tape. And it's just fun watching, and you saw the skill of that generation. You want to think this generation's stronger, faster, this and that, smarter, blah, blah, blah. Here's the thing. The mental toughness of that generation, of course, they weren't staring at their cell phones all day. I think they would have been pretty damn good. And I loved what I loved the energy Flip Saunders had, and it was fun to watch, the skill level, this and that. Flip Saunders, so fun, and they showed him in the introduction. He had the energy. He was clearly the leader of that team, and it was so cool to see him with the Gophers and all that. That was fun. I just sat there and watched that video for the longest time one morning a couple years ago, and I still remember it. Even though it was a couple years ago, I still remember it very well. There were players dribbling around everything. I mean, the skill level of those guys was insane even back then. So, again, don't discount it just because it's a long time ago that, they were just real boring and monotone. No, those guys could freaking play, man. So it's just as hard probably to make it. And, of course, I always thought Flip, when you saw how good he was, he could have at least been a backup point guard in the NBA. But you sit down and think about it. Obviously, there were less teams in the NBA back then, which means less jobs available, this and that. So I don't know. Nice, unbelievable career coaching. Even with Golden Valley Lutheran, was at 59-0. Jeez, that's pretty amazing. Golden Valley Lutheran, it's one of those little schools you don't really think about. And of course, I grew up in Golden Valley. I could have met Flip Saunders, damn it, but I didn't. So, and it was a while ago. But 59-0, that's unbelievable. And everywhere you go, you always hear the stories. The greatest guy ever. I knew somebody back in high school that said they saw him outside of the what the heck was it called? Nick's Sportswear or something like that. It's no longer there, unfortunately. They went out of business in the 2000s. But in the 90s, 2000s, it might have even been in the 80s. But Flip was coming out of there. He's just the nicest guy in the world. Just kind of bumped into him and all that. Unbelievable. And you hear all these great stories. There's only one player I could say that for sure didn't get along with Flip Saunders, and it's too bad. And it was Bobby Jackson. We saw it happen back then, this and that. It just didn't mix, and it's too bad. And again, that's life. Not everybody is going to see things exactly the way you do, this and that. So again, that's just kind of the human part of it, unfortunately. But generally speaking, everybody loved Flip Saunders. Obviously, Garnett did. Cool to see Sam Cassell there. John Thomas was there. Mark Madsen, all those guys. Very cool. And, of course, Ryan Saunders, who was taking on the neck twitch that Flip Saunders is so famous for. I've imitated him many times, where he'd always grab the edge of his shirt, with his index finger and kind of pull and just kind of nudge his neck around a little bit. I always got a kick out of that. We all have little habits. Like, I tend to grab the side of my pants a little bit. I just get, I do it a lot. That's just, we all have our little thing. Yeah, but I always got a kick out of that. I always thought Flip Saunders sounded like, what's that singer's name? Rod Stewart. Straight from the heart. Yep, straight from the heart, That's Flip Saunders' voice, too. So I always got a kick out of that. Love the man. Love Flip Saunders. I wish I met him. I'm one of the unlucky ones that didn't. And those of you that did, God bless you. That must have been a nice experience. So again, really nice to see Flip honored, to see the banner up there. That's what we were talking about last year. We were hoping they would do that one day, and they did it. Thank you, Glenn Taylor. Thank you, Timberwolves, for getting that done. Thank you. Now, yeah, there's that other thing. The other banner that needs to go up there as well. Both sides need to come together there. Let the stubbornness go. Come on. Both sides need to come together with that one. Number 21 needs to be hanging in the rafters. Let's move on, people. Stop with the BS there, I think. I won't even, okay, I won't go further into that. But again, wonderful tribute. So there's that. The Alpha Wolf Award will go to Karl Anthony Towns. The Johnny Flynn Memorial will go to Andrew Wiggins. An icky, yucky week, even though he had a couple of okay games against Chicago and Sacramento. Respectable games, but against the Lakers, only 8 points, 4 of 11 from the floor, and just not a part of things. No assists. He got 4 rebounds, so that's okay. It's better than previous years. So, but there's that. Nice overall tribute to Flip Saunders, and I enjoy talking about him. Yes, I wandered a little bit talking about the Gophers in general in the 70s, but no, I mean, it was nice to see how Flip led that team, and what a nice job he did with the Wolves, this and that, during the course of the late 90s, all the way until 2005, and then, of course, the way he came back and cleaned up that mess, and it was just almost overnight. He had an interesting draft there with Gorgie and Shabazz. He wasn't too happy with it at the moment, but then it turned out to be okay, and then, of course, things got better. Dealt with the Kevin Love situation about as good as any president of basketball, or whatever you want to call their role, could ever do. Just unbelievable poker playing by Flip Saunders with that trade to bring in Andrew Wiggins. I just wish Andrew would perform a little better, because the talent's there. That's all that is to it. And it's kind of a bummer that on a show where we honor Flip Saunders, that I got to give Andrew Wiggins a Johnny Flynn Memorial. Come on, Andrew, because that was an unbelievably well-handled situation that summer with Kevin Love. The stare down with Kevin Love and the Cleveland Cavaliers also with Andrew Wiggins, all that. Incredible, masterful job by Flip Saunders. God bless you, Flip. We'll be back to talk about fan interaction. We'll be back to talk to you guys right after this. Kind of weird, but yeah, 2 segments. And we are back here on Timberwolves Explosion, segment number 2, fan interaction. No, this is not the off season, but it's what it is. We're back. 2-segment show because no games to preview, as I've said 1,000 times already. Twitter account at Wolves Explosion, at Wolves Explosion. Want to thank Levi, Antone, Wilson Brown, and of course Vince Germano also for retweeting the show. Thank you guys very much. Huge shout out to the Courtside Podcast. We'll talk about that in a minute. Of course, Vince Germano, Melbourne, Australia. Janae and Levi, brothers out of New Zealand. Love you guys. God, love you guys so much. Just the greatest. I love you guys. Vince Germano tweets. It is at Vinrock44 from the Courtside Podcast out there. You guys are Hall of Famers, Janae, Levi, and Vinrock. He was tweeting out John Krasinski's tweet. John Krasinski, Johnny K, AP, Krasinski, all that, but now it's, of course, Johnny Athletic, because he writes for The Athletic, which gets a lot of ads, and it's a really good publication. So, yes, a lot of major league writers from newspapers and all that, and some of them maybe up-and-coming bloggers also joined that page, but a lot of experienced established guys, AP Krasinski, Michael Russo, even Britt Robson locally, writing for that. Britt Robson City pages, but gigantic Wolves wonk, like a Yoda for the Timberwolves. That's what sucks about losing Flip Saunders. He was literally the Yoda for the Wolves. He was like hockey. The hockey Yoda in this town is Lou Nanne. Flip Saunders was the basketball Yoda. He played for the Gophers, just like Lou Nanne did years ago. Flip didn't play for the Wolves, but he coached and general managered the Wolves. Lou Nanne played for the Gophers, played for the North Stars, general manager the North Stars, and of course, and it's still like everybody knows Lou Nanne out there in the hockey world. Everybody knew Flip Saunders in the basketball world. So, losing somebody like that is, God, it leaves a black hole. It does. I mean, it's such a big loss that, nothing can escape it. That's what black holes are. They suck everything in, even light. Wonderful tweet there. John Krasinski was saying a banner will be raised and a promise will be made. Timberwolves will never forget Flip Saunders, and damn right they won't. Vince Germano, literally, it's a quoted tweet. That's what they call that. There's retweets, there's likes, and then there's quoted tweets where it's quoting that it has the tweet and then your quote above it. Of course, most of you probably know that even more than me. Vince Germano saying, "How good is this? Fantastic!" And it is absolutely wonderful. And John Krasinski, Johnny Athletic, liked that tweet. So thank you, John Krasinski. And he is of a lot of the people in this town, locally and such. National, whatever. Krasinski's local kind of, and yeah, he's local, but he's got a little national vibe to him too, but I would say he's generally local. He's been on Yahoo though, of course. He's, out of a lot of the people here, I gotta say, he's about the nicest one. I love the guy. He'll talk, he'll like your tweet, he'll respond to you. I loved his coverage during the Wiggins trade. He responded to me. We've even had a couple of chuckles back and forth. One time I was joking about how I forget what it was, a three-pointer. See, that's what's kind of sad, too, at the time. The state of affairs, what's the name? Anthony Tolliver made a three-pointer, and he said it's his first three-pointer in a while, and I said, like, what year? And then he said, ouch, and he liked it, LOL, kind of back and forth. And now we get Anthony Tolliver making 5 and 6 three-pointers against us. That figures. So, yes, Anthony. I'm sure you heard my show and hate me very much for that. No, I don't know if he's heard it, but he acts like he heard it. You know what I'm saying? I messed with the audio a little bit. Hopefully my voice isn't too booming. I don't know, because I think sometimes my shows are a little too quiet. So I adjusted the volume a little bit on things here. Hopefully it's not. So apologize if it is, and I will readjust it for the next show. The first segment was different. It was standard, and I moved it a little bit because I think it's getting too quiet. So apologize if it's icky. Tanae Brown says, this gave me goosebumps, and yeah, it certainly was like that. Tanae Brown, again, out of New Zealand. I'm going to see exactly. Yep, he was saying about the whole thing with the banner and everything, and it did. I posted it on the Timberwolves Explosion Facebook page, and as we head to Facebook, I'm going to give a shout out to the Flips Army. The Flips Army, that's a Facebook page. Go like and follow that page. Interact with people on there in game and news, this and that. Wonderful Facebook page for the Timberwolves and all that. Trevor Wickerwin, the founder of that page, allows me to post links to Timberwolves Explosion on that Facebook page. So I appreciate him very much for allowing me to do that. Facebook.com/Timberwolves Explosion. Facebook.com/Timberwolves Explosion. And of course, links are all going to be in the show description on iTunes, Stitcher, and all that good stuff. And Google, all that. I mean, you can just Google the show and listen to it on like your Google. It's not Google Play, but it's some kind of attachment you can even have on Android phones. It's interesting. So, the most recent show, there were no comments there, but there were likes. Sometimes there's comments. That's usually where I leave off. Oh, yes. And by the way, you've noticed that the new logo for Timberwolves Explosion is finally on iTunes, and we have Levi Wilson Brown to thank for that. He had messaged me on Twitter about, I could probably help you with that logo. Because, see, with a lot of that Photoshop or whatever it is, when you adjust the size of a picture, I'm just not good at that kind of stuff. And some people are just great at it, and look at Levi. It was just bam. He fixed it, and it worked right away. Thank you so much, Levi. I was telling a major thank you to Levi Brown for helping me with readjusting the picture size and all the new logos on iTunes and the RSS at long last. And can't thank you enough, Levi. It's great. And I was showing a picture of it as well. Thank you so much, Levi. It's made a big difference because, all you were seeing was a Hipcast logo on there, and that's not good. That means there's no logo for your show, and who knows if people were wondering if the show quit or whatever, which is not going to happen. This is the oldest, longest-standing Timberwolves show. A lot of the shows that popped up the last couple of years, they're not doing them anymore. There's still some left, but yeah, Timberwolves Explosion just hangs around, baby. I'm not going anywhere. Mada, I'm not going anywhere, boy. I don't know what I just said. That was weird. I was saying, let's make sure tonight is about Flip and not about Garnett, because people want to make it about Garnett. Oh, we got to fix the thing with Garnett. Oh, he needs to be there, too. And then Taylor needs to stop being this and that. Oh, okay. Garnett needs to stop being this and that, too. Yeah. If that isn't a two-way street, I don't know what is. You know what I'm saying? you can't just bash Glenn Taylor on that one. You got to do a little equal opportunity bashing when it comes to Garnett and Glenn Taylor. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Trish Postorino says, Wolves, show your teeth, yay. So thank you very much, Trish Postorino, for that. Very sure. I posted the video on there, and you can watch it anytime. It's right on there in HD. It looks beautiful. And Kevin Harlan, oh, the memories. I didn't even mention him. And obviously, he was actually the host of the whole thing on the pulpit. He was up there on the pulpit. Kevin Harlan. I love that voice. What a unbelievable broadcaster Kevin Harlan is. Hall of Fame level broadcasting is Kevin Harlan. He was the greatest. God, I loved him when he was here. The buckle up and all that, because he could show a little more energy, a little more pizzazz, and be a little more wacky when you're a local play-by-play voice rather than a national play-by-play voice. He's also, of course, worked for Fox, Westwood One, Fox for the NFL games, Westwood One. Now that's pretty much, that's what he does now, is radio for Westwood One. For the NFL. He used to actually do TV games, which is crazy when you think about that. I think that something happened years ago where, he wound up just doing radio, and he's just fine at that. I don't know what I just clicked on. Why did I do that? Why did I do that? I did not mean to do that. I actually clicked on the video. I didn't mean to. I want to stay where I am. Okay. But no, love Kevin Harlan. Just unbelievable. Of course, with TNT TV, yes. The game was on TNT last night. They didn't air it, which is a bummer. So, again, YouTube is the way to go if you weren't actually at the game. Or Timberwolves.com, they have it there, too, which is great. Vince Germano says, thank you for posting this, mate. Flip was certainly a player's coach. They loved him. And, yes, he was. And, yes, they did. Absolutely. Sam Cassell and Flip even had a little bit of had kind of off and on run-ins during this Sam's second season here. So, it's nice that these things got patched up between those two. Of course, dating back to Flip's Washington Wizards days, Sam Cassell was one of the assistants there, and possibly even future head coach of that team, but unfortunately that didn't quite happen. Visitor posts, Vince Germano was saying, it's on today, brother. Yep, we're stuffed, and you almost stuffed us, man. You almost stuffed us, brother. Look at ya. You almost stuffed us. Just about. Your team's got a nice future. Julius Randle, again, to the goofball out there locally that said Shabazz Muhammad is better than Julius Randle. I'm sorry, but 23-0 is a pretty big blowout for Julius Randle. So, of course, again, Shabazz not even getting in the game. And Shabazz's game, he needs to be a better teammate. He needs to, with Shabazz, I just sense an attitude from the guy. Like, if he wasn't in basketball, who knows what he would be like. He'd probably be a very difficult person, I think. You just see attitude with him all the time. Like, he's always looks like he wants to argue with somebody, it seems like. And there's always people like that in the workplace, and they're usually kind of the worst people to work with. And I don't know. God bless him. He's probably a nicer guy than what I'm seeing. I don't know if it's just his competitiveness coming out or his frustration with lack of playing time. But I kind of saw that last year, too, with Cole Aldrich, when he was just giving him an attitude. And it's like, dude. And I even read Cole Aldrich's mouth, like saying, come on, relax. Cole Aldrich, he was giving him hell. And it was, I don't know, not impressive for me at all. So, I don't know. Shabazz kind of is what he is. He kind of is what he is. God bless him, and best of luck to him. This should wrap up the show. Nothing from Wayne Hunt this week, unfortunately. Probably getting back to business and all that. Back to work, and obviously he's back to work, but maybe getting real busy again. Vince Germano in career transition, and he's rocking and rolling now. Good for him. Awesome. He's become a teacher, has Vince Germano, and he deserves a gigantic sitting ovation, because if I stand, you won't hear me very well. But then again, maybe I'll stand. Okay, standing ovation. Yes. Yes, that's something I need to do, is a little career improvement too, damn it. But, sheesh, I moved up a little bit, but yeah, yay, right? You can move up, but does your check go up that much? Sometimes, but not always, right? I think you guys know what I'm talking about. Well, get your butts on this show, or get your voice on this show. Phone lines are 209-736-7877, 209-736-7877. It is a voicemail. Do treat it as such. Mention you're calling in for Timberwolves Explosion to your statement, shout out, comment, question, and opine. Yes, sir. I mentioned you're calling in for Timberwolves Explosion, which I probably already said. Yeah. There's the other route. Again, multiple routes. The phone line itself And then there's the call now button on the Facebook page. Goes right through via Facebook Messenger, which is free no matter what it is. As long as you're on data of some sorts or internet some sorts, it'll go right through with no problems. And, of course, the audio submission route, which is a wonderful route that Tanae uses and others at times on other shows. Mad Martin on Purple Mafia. That's where you use the free voice recording app on any smart device there is. And treat it like a phone call. Keep it to about 5 minutes or so. And save it and email it to paladinolive@yahoo.com. paladinolive@yahoo.com, which will be in the show description for copy and paste purposes if that's what you prefer to do. And there it is. And I will convert it to an MP3 file if necessary, which usually is on Zumzar.com. And it takes like about 5 seconds. So it's like no work at all. So very cool. I just put it in there, browse it into my... browse it onto that web page, and they email it to me right away. So pretty cool. Obviously, it's a electronic web page. It's not a person doing it. So, again, thank you very much for your inclusion in this show in advance. And those of you that were on this show, thank you again so much. Tanae, Vince, and, of course, Levi Brown. He's going to get a gold star with platinum lace on it for getting that picture at the right size so I could have it on iTunes and Stitcher and all that. God, it looks good. Because once it's in that RSS feed from Hipcast, it forwards through. Stitcher, I don't think it appeared right away. I think I had to have this show uploaded first. So by now, hopefully you're seeing it on Stitcher, because this show will have uploaded by the time you're listening to it. That would be kind of weird if it wasn't uploaded and you're listening to it. I don't know how you're doing that, unless you're in the government Big Brother thing going on. Which I better watch what I'm saying right now. Oh, my God. Okay. Thanks again for listening. We'll be back next week to preview games and ignore the All-Star game, maybe. Unless somebody like Jimmy Butler or Karl Anthony Towns steals the show, and I hope they do. We'll talk to you next week.